live. So this is my little GoPro, captures this front on view that I do. Now I'm just going to do this finish coat. This is for Natalie, her Easy Rider. She's going to be pumped. Again, only have one roll of tape going. Okay, don't ever start a second roll if you're not finished the first. That's the biggest advice I can give you. Well, it's like beer. You know how you go to those parties and you clean up after it, and there's always a fucking half bottle of beer. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was brought up to never, ever, ever start another beer unless you finish the other one. It was frowned upon. And I never get why they're half beers there, what they do. Righto, so that's a good view for people wanting to know how to tape up. Righto, so you do that. Push the tape down with both hands, make sure it's nice and tight. Sorry, the first thing I always do, I take my paintbrush or my brush out of the clean acetone. I let that drip dry. I should have done that first, because then it'll be perfectly dry by the time I get to it. Now, this is just like a little apron. There you go. That's quicker than bending the tape up and doing this and doing that. I just find for a couple of bucks, or not a couple of bucks, for a little bit of tape, it's a faster way of doing it. Now, acetone. Sorry, resin. I mix up my own finish coats. Okay? Yep, about that much. That's right. That's airtight now. Now, take my stick. Sorry, I should have grabbed my stocking. I always use these stockings for filters. Razzmatazz. Ladies or men's, you can't discriminate these days. So stockings for men and women. Although feminism took a big hit, I think, with the Ukraine war, because they wanted equal rights, but all the women left the country. I know it's really funny, some countries the women stayed and fought, but not the Ukraine. So children, yes, leave, but some countries even the children fought. So it's a funny one, isn't it? It's a funny way the world looks at itself. Do as I say, not as I do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, but equal rights went out the door when war was coming, apparently. Now, stir this in. Today's a bit cooler, so I'll knock it up a touch. I want it to go off. Now, this is laminating resin. Don't believe the bullshit you see online where you have to buy that shit called Rycold. Okay, you make your own. Okay, and people say, oh, it's not hard enough. Leave it for 2 days and you'll regret leaving it a day longer. It'll get fucking hard. Okay, there we go. Hardener. Don't believe the bullshit. You'll get the best finish coats you can ever get by mixing your own, because you've got the perfect ratio. When they pail a 44 down to 20 litre pails and send you it, they don't stir the pail, the 44, before they mix it up. So you get all mixes of, all the years ago when I worked for people that used it, there was nothing but problems with the resin, because the dickhead that pours it out tails it off. He's normally the dumbest shit in the factory, okay? And he's not a board builder. He's just someone that got the job because he can't push a broom or something, you know what I mean? Like, don't believe the bullshit. There's that many old wives' tales. One of the worst ones I ever heard was an American guy apparently saying to people, don't get your boards polished, it makes them weaker. Now Midget used to tell me he loved the heating up the board when he polished it because it made it go off more, made it go off quicker. So yeah, the only reason they say they don't like to polish boards is because they don't glass them themselves, and the factory they get it done at doesn't want to polish them because polishing is a pain in the ass. Simple as that. Right, here's the view of finish coating. Now, if you watched me this video 20 years ago, it would be exactly the same. Every movement pretty well identical. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now you don't have to brush your finish coat any more than that to get it spread out. You see these people going backwards and forwards, you know, like they're sort of dancing and all sorts of stuff. I see some really funny finish coats. Okay, that's how long it takes. Okay, that many, I don't know if that was a minute or 2 minutes across. Okay, you never wipe your brush, ever. If you want to do a shit finish coat, wipe your brush. Okay, now you just go up and down the board 4 times each side. And then back 4 times. One, 2, 3. Now see how I haven't wiped the brush? I see it so many videos and I think, what the fuck are you doing? You don't want to be taking any more resin off the board than what your brush absorbs, about 80 mil. Okay, your brush can't absorb any more than what its maximum capacity is, and about 80 mil is it, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm brushing it out. There, done. Now I'm going to go around the board once. So I'll just shut this door, it's a bit of... Around this side once. Now what I'm going to do is, just open this door up for a sec, I don't want it too warm in here. So I'll knock a bit of the temperature out. Now I'm going to squeeze the resin that's in my brush out, okay? That's what you call a wet brush, okay? Every time you wipe a brush, you take resin out of the thing. Now that's about 70 mil, right? So every time you do this, you're taking more resin, you're putting it on the board, you're taking resin off the board, which means you're making the finish coat thinner, okay? You don't brush a finish coat flat. Never in my life have I ever brushed a finish coat flat. The best people that back me up on this are people that do floor leveling or concrete leveling, and they will tell you, you just spread it out or epoxy and it does it on its own. G'day Brandon, how you going, mate? But yeah, so sorry, I'm just make sure there's no hairs in here. Now I'm going over this, you see the reflection with the, more so the people looking on the GoPro camera. Now this is just checking for any hairs. Nothing. There could be a hair there. No, just a bit of something. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's settling down on its own. And yeah, so now you can't see it from the Instagram, but this is starting to settle nice. Hang on, I've got a tiny little, looks like a little hair here, not even a, that one. I'll show you it. See there, see the tiny little hair that was on it from the brush? Now, this is leveling on its own, okay? I don't want it to go off yet. That's why I opened up the door, because I heat my rooms up in winter. It's winter time here in Australia and it's quite cold, but I don't want to get it too hot. I'll shut that now, because I want this to settle. That way when I polish it, it'll be perfect. Okay, so I'll just check the temperature now. Yeah, it's 22, so 22 was good. It just got a little hotter than that before. So I'm checking this. That's not bad. It's looking good. Finish coat settling. So I want it to be about another, hopefully a couple of minutes, and I'll show you the resin here in the cup. See how it hasn't gone off yet. So what that means is the resin is settling out flat. It's looking good. It's close. But if it settles out nice and flat, it makes my polishing a lot easier. Now I've been enjoying doing the YouTube, what do you call it, the YouTube thing now. So it gives me a few more opportunities with storing the videos and so forth. Righto, now I'm going to open this door back up because I've got the aircon on in this room. Now the heat will come out. Right, this is looking beautiful. Now I'll be polishing this tomorrow. Be polishing this after lunch, and be finished for Natalie. Her husband Alan bought this for her. Alan doesn't surf, but his wife does, and he's decided to buy her a surfboard and get a custom one made. Good decision. She's gonna have a, righto, so that's gelling now. Okay, see how that's gelling? I'll chuck that in here. Now I can pull my tape off, okay? There you go, this looks good. So the tape's off. You don't want the tape staying on there for very long. As soon as it gels, you want to take it off. Now, beautiful. Yeah, so this looks good. So I'll let this sit here for about half hour, and then I'll come back and finish coat the other side. But that's settled beautifully. I'll give you a quick look of what it looks like. Here we go. Turn the camera around. There. See how it's settled nice and flat? Now the wax is starting to rise in it. So yeah. Anyway, I'm off. Righto, I'll get rid of this.